Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Dal and patch 11.15 is finally here, and we've been covering this update for quite a decent bit over the last few weeks over on this channel, diving into all the newest updates over on the PTR, going through them in quite a bit of detail. But now that the patch is finally here, I wanted to go over the major content and features that are available day one. As parts of this update are actually going to be launching a little bit after the launch of this one, so not all of its content is going to be made available immediately at the same time. We did cover quite a bit of this patch over on the PTR in greater detail, so I am going to leave chapter marks down below so you can quickly skip around to any of the relevant sections that you weren't aware of just yet. And over this next few weeks, we'll definitely be making some of the more in-depth guides regarding some of the content and the rewards and how to obtain them. So if you want to receive those, be sure to follow the channel and subscribe for any of the more in-depth content and updates regarding patch 11.15. But otherwise, let's dive right in. So the first feature that'll be available immediately is the Nightfall scenario, but it's really more of a Nightfall event. I actually was talking to somebody in game here not long ago about this scenario versus the event, and yeah, Blizzard didn't make it sound a little confusing, but the Nightfall is going to be a new open world activity, and actually a set of new open world activities for players to engage with, which is something that helps juice some of the content into the world that is the Khaz Algar. It's basically open world invasions with catch-up loot and catch-up gear and a lot of little collectibles for you to obtain. There's a main big event that occurs on your map every so often. Right now it says for me it's 22 minutes away, so it shows up exactly on your map like when it's going to be available. But there's also smaller incursions that you can do on the outside. Like when you pick up the weekly world quest, it'll take you to locations where these incursions are happening, and for completing those, you get additional bags of goodies, which can feature gear, but also a variety of other things like even mounts to add to your collections. It's a great source of transmogs, especially if you're looking for that whole void-themed Arathi set. And I covered mogs before, but they look so good. There's one for plate, one for cloth, one for mail. The plate in particular looks amazing. Like, these sets is what players have been hounding after for a very long time, and we're finally getting our hands on it, as well as a whole array of Nightfall weapons. But you also have a new faction as well of Flames Radiance that you can get the ivory sets from. You can see kind of like the leather set, you can see a full plated set. The helm in particular with that set looks absolutely gorgeous. There's the mail set, clothy set, and all of them can be obtained from the two vendors that are available for this event. One selling you the ivory, the Flame Radiance sets, but the other sells the corrupted armor pieces, or rather the weapons, but the armor sets you actually have to get and obtain from the weekly quests. Outside of this, there's also a chance for a mount from doing some of the weekly activities, specifically the weekly outside of the main invasion incursions, but also plenty of rewards from a new Warbound reputation of the Flames Radiance, a renowned system that allows you to obtain tabards, a bunch of cat pets, as well as a cat that can also deliver you your mail, a big rideable cat as well, and a variety of other cosmetics and rewards that you can earn as you progress your way through the Flames Radiance of the Arathi faction. But also, the Nightfall scenario is additional content for open world enjoyers, and it adds so much more extra towards the open world content of Khaz Algar. It's also one of the best starting points for fresh new players or returning players, whether you're playing a brand new character or just checking out War Within for the first time. Try to immediately jump into a Nightfall public scenario if one is currently available, or do any of the weekly quests for the Nightfall zone as well to progress your way through the Arathi faction of Flames Radiance, but also to collect starter entry-level items to make it easier for you to get into dungeons, delves, and raids. Speaking of catch-ups, there's also a new buff that will be present on the launch of 11.15, and that is the Winds of Mysterious Fortune, which is basically a big catch-all, catch-up buff with many bonuses. One of the biggest ones that everybody is going to be able to utilize is 20% more experience gain. That stacks on top of all of the other bonuses, from the Warband bonuses to events such as the Darkmoon Fair, 10% additional EXP from that one, or even the potion, the XP potion from Battle for Azeroth specifically. But also, while the Winds of Mysterious Fortune is active, there'll be an opportunity for players to earn potions that add 10% additional XP experience on top of that 20, and both of them stack together to increase EXP gains by 30%. And you get to collect these potions from many of the enemy kills as well as quests, so just by leveling a brand new character or participating in a good portion of open world content in Castlegar, you're going to be able to obtain a bunch of these potions to then put in your Warbound bank later, and apparently you'll be able to save those and use those in the future even after the Winds of Mysterious Fortune buff goes away. We don't really know if there will be an expiration date on these potions whatsoever. Maybe they'll be usable into the next expansion of Midnight. Very unlikely, but who knows really. But they are adding a new item that you'll be able to obtain during this event and continue to use them even after the event is gone at a later time. During this buff, Winds of Mysterious Fortune will also increase your rep gains from the Dragonflight zones and Dragonflight repetitions by 200%, which encourages players to go back to that expansion to obtain some of those renown base rewards, but also to level new characters through that expansion, specifically making it the ideal content for you to get new characters through. You also get 100% more rep for all of the major War Within factions, specifically the ones that you will find within your renown. From the Council of Dornogal, Hollowfall Arathi, Severed Threads, and Assembly of the Deep. You don't get a buff for the actual cartels of the Undermine, like individual cartels like the Bilgewater, Seamweedle, and Ventrico. But there will be a separate buff available for those cartels that we'll mention in just a moment. During this buff, you also have a chance to obtain loot, cosmetics, and even combat potions from questing and slaying foes within the zones of Dragonflight and War Within, allowing you to obtain additional gear and even combat enhancements, but also things to just add to your collection, all while leveling a brand new character, which encourages for players to... which is a huge encouragement for players to get a brand new tune up and running for the War Within, whether they're looking to play alts or maybe a returning player. Another unique feature that we have is the UI feature called the Cooldown Manager, which is essentially weak auras the players utilize, a very popular add-on, but try to find a way to make weak auras and what they do basic part of the WoW UI. It is going to be something that is not mandatory, but it is something that players will be able to enable, allowing you to track your major ability cooldowns, like all of your basic combat abilities, but also a separate bar for tracking utility cooldowns as well, like mobility, defensives, interrupts, self-healing, as well as ability procs. Like if, let's say, you play a class and you use weak auras to track when a certain proc appears on your screen, because the game itself maybe doesn't give you enough visual coherency in order to let you know, hey, a certain very important combat proc is active right now, you better utilize it. The Cooldown Manager does a much better job of letting you know when those important procs are up, and they're trying to be very detailed with all the different items they wanted to add as part of the Cooldown Manager for every single class in the game. It's fairly customizable, and it does help you optimize your gameplay with some of the more intuitive in-game tools. By adding a way for you to enable those kind of weak aura style trackers in-game natively, I think is going to give a lot more players an opportunity to play around with these and have maybe an easier time tracking some of the major cooldowns and major abilities. It is definitely the next best thing, and it's good to see them improving on the WoW UI in general with some of the more popular and commonly used community improvements. This patch also brings a much needed buff towards the Goblin cartels, especially when it comes to making progress through their reputations, as you will gain 100% more rep gains from weekly activities and weekly quests within the zone of Undermine towards those Goblin cartels, as well as a nice bonus towards the weekly faction rares that you'll be able to unlock depending on which Goblin faction or which Goblin cartel you decide to side with for that week. Also, you'll get a nice hefty bonus from any of the side quests, specifically those found around the tram area, as well as world quests within Undermine towards those cartels in order to make your way through those reputation gains, in order to make it easier for you to get to Exalted with all of those reputations to claim all of the unique rewards as well as the Exalted boxes. We also have a number of smaller updates, such as guilds can now be renamed with just a gold price in game instead of using a cash shop, which is huge. I think this is the first time in a long while that we saw a cash shop item feature be integrated into the game directly. And hopefully we'll see more stuff like this in the future, with many players hoping that maybe character name changes or maybe even racial changes could potentially be integrated at some point. However, guilds will have some limitation. They can only rename their guilds once a year. But if you're looking to refresh a guild, maybe one that's been abandoned so long ago, and you're looking to kickstart it, you could always refresh it with a brand new name in order to get yourself going for, let's say, a brand new season. We also got a new warrior talent animation for the ability of Warbreaker, some of the small things like Shadowlands factions that are warbound instead of character specific, so have fun grinding all of the Shadowlands reputations and rewards, and there's so many to collect from that expansion. Undercoins and PTR have become transferable across warbands, which is very new. Normally Blizzard comments on things like this, but it looks like there is a transfer button that is available over on the PTR, which is genuinely a surprise. But also there's a bunch of other smaller updates and quality life improvements that we've covered on this channel over these past few weeks. So there's definitely going to be quite a bit of little things that are arriving with the level 1.5 update. However, two major pieces of content over 11.15 will not be made available immediately. In fact, those will actually be made available sometime later. And while in this video I'm not going to go into huge details regarding all those pieces of content, I do want to wait until they're actually available before we do like a proper coverage of the update. But I did want to give you guys a quick glimpse at what is next to come from 11.15. Later down the line, we'll have horrific visions making a return down the line. Like I said, they won't be available day one. They'll be available, I think, a couple of weeks after 11.15 launches. It basically signals the return of the Vision game mode, optimized for much better solo experience with a companion NPC, very similar to Bran from Delves. Delve inside Visions and venture as far as you can go, but make sure you make it out of there alive before your sanity runs out, and use the currencies obtained from Vision runs to buy upgrades so you can stay in there longer and delve deeper and deeper for better rewards. Enable masks to make your runs more difficult, but also a hell of a lot more rewarding. And Visions in a way are going to be an alternative gearing route for players looking to get Veteran Track, Champion Track, and even Hero Track gear, whether you're looking to get it for your mains or alts. There's also a little bit of a power progression, as corruptions do make a return as a helm enchant, but they're a lot easier to farm up compared to the legendary cloak questline way back in BFA. There's also a tons of unique cosmetics and mounts and pets and so many other secretive items that you can unlock from Visions, and that seems to be the majority of the goal with this piece of content, is to give players so many different things to add to their collections. Another piece of content that will be available later down the line, even after Visions, will be Dastardly Duos, a limited time event that's available for a handful of weeks. A score-based boss rush mode where you slay as many foes as quickly as possible, and where you get to fight up to 4 bosses at a time, bosses from previous expansions that you'll be able to engage with simultaneously. You can also choose to make some of these encounters harder but earn a greater score, which is part of the fun of this mode, is to earn as much score as possible. It is very fast-paced and very arcadey, but also very solo player friendly. Even if you don't have a party of 5 to dive into Dastardly Duos, you'll be given NPC companions to tank, heal, and DPS for you, allowing you to focus on your role specifically to earn as much score as possible. There's a mount reward as well as a variety of other unique rewards from Dastardly Duos that are all very thematic to this new game mode specifically, but also a chance for you to collect some gear, to gear out your ults, but also potentially to gear out your main as well. And with that, as always, I want to thank all of you guys so much for watching this video, and I hope you guys did enjoy this update, which hopefully all of my NA homies will actually be able to play at some point, because it looks like the maintenance today for the actual patch drop is going to be a little bit more extended. If you guys did enjoy this overview video or found it informative, go ahead and give it a like. I would very much appreciate it. Join our Discord community to keep up with all the regular patch changes and class tuning, which I wouldn't be surprised if they stuck in a couple of new things as this update went live. Also, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and as always, I'll see all of you guys in the next one.